the jungle.
Cognizant.
Lion in the Congo
Damn, it feels like
jungle.
it's been
Lion
forever, right?
in the jungle. Lion
That's a good thing. Like when we're not here, I have like the itching to like, yo, let's get in there. Let's
get back
fucking
into it?
record something.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
it's good, man. It's the ventilation.
Hell yeah.
It's the place where you can come and let it all hang out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you guys got any
You know what I'm
like
saying.
ideas, names, what we could call it, we're still trying to think of something special.
He's talking about the room.
Yeah.
The place
This
where
room,
we record.
our studio,
Yeah.
where we
It
record,
was originally going to be called the Dojo.
which is cool.
Then I was thinking the poop deck.
The poop deck, something sea related.
Something along the lines of stop the ship.
Hell yeah,
But
we'll get it.
But we'll get there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, let me get in my spot.
Let me get my
My
mind
Achilles
right.
is really killing me right now. It's like it's really fucking.
You got that Kobe Bryant
it's
injury?
fucking with me right now. I didn't even do anything.
Oh, it's not good.
I'm so the guy.
Dude, that's the worst. Like,
You can't even hyperextend it. I'm such the guy to get hurt doing nothing, bro.
you got to crack it.
Can't tell you how many. I don't think so.
Oh shit.
Sounds horrible. Sounds like a real bad idea.
Yep.
Can't tell you how many times I rolled my ankle, either just standing in one place,
Really?
stationary, or just walking.
Dude, I've rolled my ankle playing basketball, my right ankle, so many freaking times.
It's never the left.
No, it was never the left, always the right. I mean, you know, it makes sense. Like once you start
Yeah.
tearing little ligaments, it gets weaker and weaker. And
Tearing them, huh?
yeah, my one injury, I couldn't walk for a whole month. I had a cast on, and when I took it off, there was black from like my pinky all the way up to my knee. And still, there's like
Damn.
it feels like there's atrophy somewhere like in that muscle right beside your
Yeah.
shin. Yeah.
You must have tore your stuff up.
Dude, it was real bad. And then I think it like popped out. And when we
Now
got
you just
to the
made shit up.
hospital, what?
So now you're just making shit up.
I got
I
witnesses.
think it popped out.
Cody, call
I'm
in.
not sure.
No, well, she popped it back in, so it had to have popped out. Dude, I came all my freaking weight. I jumped in the air.
Hey,
and
I
dude,
literally cringe.
oh my god! Just thinking about it, it's like,
Because I've rolled my ankle so many
and it was
times.
all Chris's fault. I landed on his
On the
freaking
shoe?
foot. Yeah.
Ziggy's landed on my foot. Zach used to make fun of my rolling my ankles. He's like, you got the weakest ankles in the game. He had never rolled an ankle. We were balling one day, and he jumped up and did that. Landed
Yeah.
right on my shoe, and he knew from then on how bad it hurt.
Yeah, so I
I
rolled
get
my
it.
ankle so many times, and then that one I couldn't walk for a month.
Yeah,
I was completely like,
that's a horror story.
yeah, it was beyond horrible. So after that, because you know I had to do all this rehab to try to get my muscles back and shit like that for
Yeah.
it. And after that, I wore an ankle brace, and I never rolled it again. And there were times in a basketball game where it went,
Yeah.
but the ankle
brace.
brace brought it back,
Yeah.
like to where I knew I didn't roll my ankle, but I was like, that would have been the time that I rolled my
sure.
ankle.
I remember whenever I was in football in high school, they one of the things they would have us do is submerge the ankle in water, ice water, and with your big toe draw the ABCs.
Really?
It was a way to I don't
Strengthen
know, I
it?
guess to strengthen it
Makes
or
sense,
to help rehab it. But it was horrible.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, now my Achilles is just blown.
That's not good. It's one of the worst like injuries that happens in basketball.
Ugh, man.
Yeah, Kobe freaking blew his Achilles out and then walked to the free throw line, shot 2 free throws, and walked to the locker room with a blown Achilles.
That's a G right there.
Dude, and he made both free throws too.
You want no and he made them
Yeah.
both.
And
You
you
don't
see
want the
people
problems.
get that injury and they can't even walk like after it.
I'd be that guy.
They say it always feels like somebody kicked you in the back of the that specific injury feels like somebody kicked you in the back of the leg, and you see everybody who has that injury, they look behind them
Yeah.
because that's exactly what they say it feels like.
All these guys.
Yeah, that's why I think KD might have.
Not only would I miss both free throws, they'd have been carrying me to the locker room.
Yeah, that's that Mamba mentality. I think nobody would have shot
That's
that.
mind over matter right there.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah. That
gotta
Mamba
be.
mentality. That's
I don't
what
know.
I told you when I'm at like the darkest points in my life. For some reason, I think of Kobe Bryant, and I think of how he performed the best. And I'm not even a huge Kobe fan, but I think of how he performed the best when his back was against the wall, like when all the
Yeah.
cards were against him. And
He had ice water in his veins.
yeah, and so when in my life when like things are going wrong and like I feel like there's like no way out and it's just like being submerged by all the stuff that's going on, like that's when I feel the focus is so important then, and like the way you execute in those moments and what you do are very important.
Yeah.
And it always just reminds me of Kobe. He talks about it, that Mamba mentality.
I think he speaks Italian very fluently.
French, Italian. He grew up in certain parts of France, and Philly.
I didn't know that. France and Philly.
Yeah.
That's an education right there.
Hell yeah, he's
That's why you don't want to mess with him.
fucking. So yeah, you went kayaking today.
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
How was it?
It's great.
You got the red arms.
You know what was really nice is yeah, I was born that way.
Well, they're redder.
I'm sure. Yeah, you know what was nice is we were out there, right? So it was only $10 per person for 2 hours. They gave you the kayak, the life vest.
I thought he already had a kayak.
He did, but he didn't have them at his house, so we had to
Okay.
just rent. And the paddles, all that's included for $10 for 2 hours. So anyway, we're out there, right? And it's just like super nice just to get away from all the electronics, just to detach.
Hell yeah.
That's really what I wanted to do, just kind of get out in nature. And so we're out there, we're on the water, it's just calm and it's peaceful. It's a lake, you know, so it's like a still body of water. But it's a pretty big lake and, you know, a little bit to explore. We're out there. He's playing Post Malone on the speaker, right? We're just vibing out and listening to it. And then at one point I was listening to it. It was just kind of hard for us to talk because we're separated from each other and the music's blasting in his ear. I was like, hey, man, just cut the music off for a little bit. Because I specifically wanted to listen to the birds and everything that was around. And when he did, and you could just, it was dead silent, man, other than, you know, Mother Nature out there making noise. And that was really cool, man. It's really cool to detach and just kind of get grounded again, get recentered.
Yeah, it's always good to have those like reset buttons, man.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That's what it was.
That's
much needed.
Yeah, that's what like you know, it's always good to just like get away, especially from like you said, electronics, and just like, you know, be in a different element. Think about different things.
Yeah, for sure.
Breathe. You know, breathing is like so important, and we like don't even think about it. Like all we
Yeah.
do all day every day is just breathe. You don't think about your breath.
Right.
But, you know, to take deep breaths and like relax and meditate, there's
Yeah.
something so beneficial about it.
Yeah, man, we get so consumed. I feel like a lot of us are victims of this, but get so consumed with technology, with our jobs. We've got a task, we got a checklist of things that we have to do every day.
That's the biggest one for me is the job.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking to you. What I wanted to get into is, you know, I got this new job and I've been, you know, it's good. I've been putting in
Right.
like hella hours and shit, and that's good. But like, you know, I can't wait till one day I get to a point where all my hours and effort could be towards bettering myself professionally, emotionally, you know, in every aspect.
Gotcha.
Because you spend so much time, like you said, with your focus towards something that, you know, in the long run, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Like, it really doesn't. Depending on the job you have. But for
Yeah.
me, where I'm at, I feel as if it doesn't.
And even more so, you know, like that's something that's peripheral of you, right? Like your job, I don't know, your hobbies, all those are peripheral things. And a lot of times those do consume us. And so we're pouring into those, but we're not pouring into, which is the center. This is the core, us.
Exactly.
Everything else is secondary.
Yeah.
So, you know, absolutely. I mean, you give so much time and effort and energy into work, for instance. I mean,
and
you know,
that's
we
why
often forget to take care of us.
So I've been thinking about it a lot. And so just because I have all those hours and everything dedicated to where I'm pouring all that into my profession and what it is that I'm doing, that doesn't mean that I should neglect myself. And it's not a legit excuse to neglect yourself and neglect, what it is that we're trying to do. Like,
Right.
so what has to come into play is discipline. Even though I worked 12 hours in a row and I come home and I'm tired as fuck, I can't let that. All it is an excuse to just be like, oh, all I wanted to do is just relax,
That's
like
true.
and chill, because that is
That's
what I
true.
want to do.
Very true.
But I'm trying to be disciplined in the fact of like, all right, exactly what you said. I put all that effort and energy towards this stuff, which is not me, which is not the core. So I have to be disciplined, and after that, dedicate some time to me, whether
Yeah.
it be like through meditation or stretching or think about how I'm feeling, and it's hard for me at times because I'm always just looking forward. I'm always just trying to push past whatever's going on. And it's hard for me sometimes to reflect. And even if it's not like a conscious thing where I'm like, oh, I don't want to. Like,
Right.
you just get caught up in all that stuff, like technology. And so I'm trying to make it a point to, be disciplined and put some hours of focus towards myself and towards what I want to do in the future.
Gotcha.
So I've just been thinking about that a lot.
Yeah. No, it's important to, because yeah, far too often people don't do that.
Yeah.
We get consumed with the day to day and everything that we have to do in order to continue to survive, have a place to live, things to eat, whatever. We get consumed by all of these things, to the point where years can go by. Like, before you know, like people say, you blink and then you wake up one day and you're 40, that kind of thing.
Hell yeah.
And it kind of goes to a concept that I've thought about before. Like, whenever we were kids at the landings, days were long. Days were
Dude,
long.
days were hella long.
We didn't have responsibility. But I've thought in the past, like, why is it now that as you age, like, time is just flying? You blink and you wake up and you're 40.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do, I've come to the conclusion, is work. You have to work. So every day you go to work, you may love your job, and that's amazing.
Yeah,
and if
yeah.
you do, that's great, and I hope you do. But if you don't, and it's the kind of thing that you have to do to get by to make ends meet, you can't wait for the weekend to come. You can't wait for your days off. Boom, you're just waking up. You got to go get these hours done. I got to
Yeah.
get this over with. And then it's over with and done. And before you know it, time has just flown by. And if you don't sit there and take that time to be like, well, damn, what do I want? What's going to replenish me, going to restore my soul kind of thing?
Yeah.
How am I going to pour into myself? If you don't take time to slow down and breathe, like you were saying before, it leads to a bad place, man. It could lead to self-destruction.
And
Could lead to depression.
yeah,
of
and for
negative
so
side
many
effects.
people, that's what it does.
Yeah.
And something to really keep in mind too is, people who come from certain types of backgrounds, certain types of like bad childhoods, you get caught in this thinking of survival, like you just said,
Yeah.
and that way of thinking and that instinct is what keeps most people down, because all you're thinking about is the next check. Like people who
Right.
live paycheck to paycheck. I saw
sure.
like a meme. It was talking about people who live paycheck to paycheck, and it's just a train going around, and all it does is pick up the last track and put it in front of the train. Pick up the last track. So it's just
That's
going
a
in a
great
circle.
visual analogy.
Yeah, and so you
Never actually going anywhere.
exactly.
Yep.
And then you come across these people in life where they don't think like that.
Right.
And they were brought up to think in the future and think ahead, and even though where you are right now, that doesn't define you.
Yeah.
And it's so important to think of that, and I'm like really starting to adopt that, because I feel the pressures of like everything that's going on, and I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not there. Even though I'm physically there, mentally I'm not there.
That's
and
great.
and I think that's the cycle that everybody gets lost in, and it all comes from survival, because
Yeah.
all you're worried about is how is this bill going to get paid and how am I going to make it to this amount of time. But the truth is you're going to make it, like most people you're going to be here for a while.
Right.
So if you had to make a sacrifice of something for a couple years right now, or a couple months, or whatever it is,
Yep.
in order to get where it is that you want, it's so much easier if you could see that vision I'm not describing it in the best way, but it's that survival mindset that a lot of people who came up in bad ways have. And it's essential to have, but it could also be a curse, you know?
Yep.
I really feel that.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, we've touched on it a lot of times before, but it is just the way that people internalize and digest what they're being presented with.
Yeah.
And it's just the fact that some people are wired differently, and whenever they're presented with situations, some people rise and some crumble. I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
So if you're somebody who's like trapped in that cycle, what's like something that you think people could start doing to like, it's not like you could wake up and change and be a different person, but what's like a couple things you could do to...
Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. One thing that I think is real important that I think may get lost by the wayside or fall through the cracks and people don't realize, but a lot of people who grow up in these impoverished kind of homes and then themselves adopt that mindset because that's all that they've been taught from their parents, or maybe they just have a shit hand and they're just not where they want to be, man. If you're not the kind of person who is already hardwired and thinking ahead, like what moves am I going to make and how am I going to navigate where I want to be, I think a lot of people who are like that, man, don't really feel like they deserve it. Almost like,
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
I really feel like it's a psychological thing in some senses. Like certain people need encouragement and need hope instilled in them, man. Like if all you know is survival and your back is consistently against the wall and all you ever do is spend all your time working or whatever so that you can stay alive, basically,
Yeah.
and have a roof over your head, it's like, I don't know. It's a tough one to explain. Like, how
I
do
get
you
exactly what you're
navigate
saying.
out of that mental mind state to say, there's more to life than what I'm currently seeing? Like, I've been there, and I know you've been there, and you may still currently be there. Like, it can get to the point where you're boxed in, man, and you lose peripheral vision.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can think to describe it. You're just solely focused on what you have to do to get by through the next day, to the next paycheck.
Yeah.
And you lose that peripheral vision and that ability to see the grander scheme of things. Like, man, I don't know. One thing I would say, if I had to give you something tangible, is to audit yourself. I talk about Gary Vaynerchuk,
yeah,
but
yeah.
Gary V talks about it. Audit yourself and audit your process. I actually just did it with myself before you got home. I was thinking about it. I'm what's the word? I'm not, I don't know. Fuck it. What I'm getting at is I do it too. And, you get to a point where you get complacent. So audit yourself. Whenever you get home from work, what are you doing with your free time? Where's your free time being spent? And I'm thinking to myself, like, if I really wanted to have this podcast blow up, if I want Nurse Bass to continue to grow and be the best that it can be, why am I not pouring every spare minute that I have? Why am I playing video games?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this or that or the other? If that's what I really want, if I say that's what I want.
Yeah.
So mine's story is a little bit different, but I still do it too.
100%. I think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
And that goes into what we were talking about in the last episode when I was like, you say that that's what you want.
Correct.
You say that this is something you believe in and it's something that you want to go after. Like, are you gonna?
Correct.
Or are you gonna? Or is that just what you say?
Yeah.
While you're looking for what it is that you're gonna pour everything into, and maybe you never find that because the whole time you just have that excuse of like, oh well, when I do, that's when.
Yeah.
Like, but today is the day.
Right.
Yeah,
so I would definitely say audit yourself. If you're just in survival mentality, audit. What am I doing when I get off? Where is my time being spent? Am I watching too much Netflix? Am I partying? Whatever it might be. Miscellaneous things that are it's time taken away from progress.
Hell yeah.
Essentially.
especially
That's
if you're
one
doing
big thing to
something
look
that
at.
you enjoy. Like
Yeah.
when you tell people have that day off or whatever it is, and they tell themselves like, oh, I've just been working so hard, I need that relaxation. Like,
And sometimes you do.
sometimes you do, but work with that and work around it. Like, stuff for the podcast. I could be sitting there relaxing, like not using any muscles or whatever,
Yeah.
but you know,
Right.
plugging away. So
True.
yeah, that's such a great point, to audit yourself and your tendencies, because dude, it's so hard to see outside of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's so hard to look at you and yourself as if somebody else, through somebody else's eyes
Right.
instead of your own. You know, we have these like excuses planted into our minds of like where we came from and like you said, what we deserve.
Right.
So sometimes we'll give ourselves a pass because of that. Oh, I'm doing better than what they did, and but that doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with your life. You know, comparing yourself to others is it's a rabbit hole that you're going to go down, and it doesn't benefit anyone,
Right.
you know? But that was a really good point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great advice, man. It's great advice because it really is like, am I willing? Does the work that I'm putting in match my ambition?
Yeah.
If my ambition is for the channel to do great or to build a business, to start a catering company, whatever it is that you want to do, is the work that I'm putting in actually meeting that?
Yeah.
Nobody owes you shit.
No.
Nobody owes you
And
anything.
nobody's going to give you shit.
And nobody's going to give you anything. You have to go get it. So if you say that you want it, and like I said, I'm guilty of it
I think
too.
everybody is.
But if I say that I want it, am I actually putting in the work necessary to actually make it happen, to bring it to fruition?
Yeah.
And if I'm not, you got to audit yourself. That's what I'm saying, and be real with yourself. And if I'm not, I have no right to complain, and I have no right to bitch.
Yeah.
Nobody owes me shit. And if I'm not willing to put in the work to get where I want to be, who else is going to do it for me?
Yeah.
That's what it is. Now, if you're the kind of person who's just content, like there are people who do live paycheck to paycheck, may not be in survival mode,
Yeah.
but they do live paycheck to paycheck. They may be able to afford a vacation once a year or something like that, and they're happy with that, man.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the fucking goal is happiness.
Yeah, yeah.
The goal is happiness. So, you know, if you're content with what you have, beautiful. That's
Yeah, it's a
that's
different
the
story.
objective. But yes, if you are in survival mode, so anyway. But that's something I just wanted to throw in there.
No, it's another good point.
Yeah, because a lot of times people do get wrapped up in the thought like we should be working towards progress. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of my mentality. I don't feel like you should ever become complacent.
Yeah.
I really don't.
You'll never reach the
At
end
least for me,
anyway.
yeah. Like, how could I ever reach the peak, the pinnacle?
Yeah.
That's my own personal mentality.
No,
anyways. And although I may have reservations in my mind or thoughts in my mind, like everybody should be that way because it's just going to work to you being the best you can be.
yeah.
At the same time, I have to understand that, you know, people are happy with different things.
Yeah.
People's goals might not be my goals. And
Yeah.
as long as they're happy, man, that's all that matters to me, really.
Yeah.
Just trying
Exactly.
to remember that.
No, I agree 100%.
Because that's the thing, man. Like I said, like you get older, you know, you start to get older, you have more responsibilities that come to you, you have jobs that you have to work and a family to take care of or mouths to feed or whatever your case might be, and it's like it can weigh you down, man. It can,
We've talked about it before, like
and it does weigh people down.
you know, when you have 100 things that need to be done and your brain is so scrambled and all you want to do is get out of your situation and you know, have things come easier to you and find a better job and find a better relationship and fix your credit, like all, if you can make a list of like things that you have to do, but you can't fix all those things in one day
Yeah.
or 1 month. Like it takes a plan.
Yeah.
And the key is to focus on more than just only focused on like 2 or 3 things at a time, because then you could pour a lot into those 2 or 3 things, but you can't pour everything into 100 things.
That's another good piece of advice right there.
Yeah, it's not gonna get fixed that way. You have to narrow it down,
Make small goals.
make small goals, fix what you can, and little by little the other things take care of themselves as you're accomplishing goals.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good to write things down, Like, that's what I've been trying to do a lot this past year. And I wasn't always somebody who believed in that, but recently I've been trying to write things down. And I told you like a month ago, I wrote 2 things down and I accomplished both of those things.
Yep.
And, it felt really good. And then scrap that. And now I have 2 more things that I wrote down.
Yep.
And it doesn't take care of the 100 things that I needed, but the list is getting shorter and shorter.
There you go.
So
You're chopping away at it.
hell yeah. And that goes into play in like every aspect of life,
Yep.
chopping away at it, trying to become a better you, trying to, my goal is to get to a point where I'm working for myself in the sense of like my time is spent on how am I going to improve Shane instead of being like, oh, well, how am I going to improve this person's business or,
Sure.
that's just where my mind state is at. And it's fine. I've been in the other mind state for a lot of my life of thinking how I could become the best worker. And
I think anybody would want that, honestly.
Yeah, I think most people would.
To not have a boss hanging over their head and to be able to
just imagine how much
control
you
your
could
own
get
destiny.
done if you spent. So this week I'm working 50 plus hours. Imagine what changes I would see if weekly I was able to pour in 50 something hours of just for Shane. And not to fuck off,
right?
Like things to benefit me and my situation. Like, and people who have that luxury and that opportunity,
they're blessed.
The world is like all possibilities.
Yeah.
And so if you're not in that aspect where you can't put that much effort in, you have to work a job. That's when it comes back to what we were originally talking about. You have to have that discipline to be like, all right, I know that I'm putting 50 plus hours towards these people and to help their business. But when I get out, I have to still put effort towards my business and my well-being. And that's where the discipline comes in.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. That's good stuff.
Hell yeah.
I think that's good advice all around. All around solid things and tangible things that people can do
realistic
and use. Realistic that they can do right now.
Yeah.
That would help improve their situation.
Yeah, fucking make a list. Put 2 things on the list.
Really?
Take away all the bullshit that you're going through. All like, just make a small list about I just want to start eating better. I just want to fucking, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck it is.
And then also, once you make that list, audit your time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So these are a two-pronged attack that you can take that it will at least give you a foundation, a jumping off point, a place to begin at to start making these changes, to start slowly hacking away at your goals and objectives. And then eventually you will get there. And like you said, as you continue to hack away at these things, certain issues or obstacles that you have in your path are just going to begin to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
They really will.
And this isn't no like self-help motivational like type of podcast or anything. We're speaking all from personal experience because we still struggle with the same things. We're not like
I said.
Yeah. So this isn't anything like, we're not fucking speaking like we're on top of the world and shit like that. Like, we're going to bring you through all our mindset and like, where we want to go and where we are right now. Cause, we're still making those two things list. Those
Continually.
Hell yeah.
And you will forever do that until you die. You really will, because you'll never be perfect. It's always about continual refinement, man. Continuously polishing the product that is you.
And let's all do this shit together, bro.
For real. I mean,
if you guys have anything to say or whatever, write some comments.
Keep that shit to yourself.
No, for real. Let's do this shit together, bro. Because I got a lot of shit that I want to work on. I know damn well you got shit to work on. Look at this guy.
Look at me.
No, I'm just kidding.
Can't you just tell?
No, like.
And that is stop the shit.
Exactly. And I don't want it. I don't want it to just be me and you here, like talking about things that we need to improve and like you know, this is going to be a journey that's beneficial for everybody who's a part of it, and
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
Yeah, I basically want this to be a place where people can come and kick it with us. And because what we're talking about and the things that we deal with, everybody's dealing with.
Everybody.
You all are dealing with it in your own various forms. I can bet you nobody out there feels like their life is perfect. That everybody
No.
feels like they all have a deficit or a place that they can work on.
And if they do, I mean,
And I'm damn somebody who knows that I'm flawed and that I
Yeah.
have work to do. And I feel like we can all connect on that common place that we all have places to work on and improve, and that's what I'm saying. Like just trying to give a little advice about ways that we can get there together.
yeah.
For real, that's what I want this to be, because everybody needs help, man. Like the comments I get from Nurse Bass, man, like you know that like
It's
you're
all
actually
of that shit.
making impacts and helping people, man. That's the best shit, man.
And what it is people going through their own struggles, and they feel so alone in their own struggles.
Yeah, man.
And then they hear you reiterate something that they're going through, and they're like,
Exactly.
"Oh my God, I'm not alone.
Exactly.
I'm not alone." Like he's going through the same thing, and we all have those things.
So y'all are family, man.
Yeah, man. This
That's how I
is
feel.
fucking family.
So, hey, man, I just appreciate y'all spending a little bit of time and hanging out with us,
Hell yeah.
and listening to us ramble. And we look forward to many more, man. But anyways, man, social links are down in the description below. We'd love it if you follow us.
Hit that subscribe.
Shit. Catch y'all next time.
Peace.
Protegerme a mí. Debo estar listo para la paz y el amor o en el fin de los tiempos. El costo será muy caro. El león conquistador es mi rey. El león conquistador, único rey. El león conquistador es mi rey. El león conquistador es mi